Peter, am I loud in the house? It feels a little bit louder in the house to me. You want? Okay. All right, cool. Well, TJ, thank you for following on the camera there. I'm really quite impressed by your cameramanship. I'm not sure what the correct word is for that. TJ, make sure you switch and give him a break every once in a while and let him know when he's got that break, so he's not totally on the entire time. I want him in generally to assume that he's on, that he's recording, but if you can just let him know every once in a while, hey, I'm giving you a break, rest up, sit back. Okay, now get back to it. Move faster. You're trying to make it hard on TJ? Is that what you're doing? I won't do that. But I think John does walk. He walks like this. He'll get a little bit faster back and forth depending on what he's talking about and if he gets excited. Now, if I want to make it really tough on you, Peter, go to the. You probably want to go to the wide angle if I come down. But I don't know. Can you see me in the wide angle if I come down here? You're going to lose me. If I sit down, do you lose me? I'm not sure. You might have to go back to TJ's shot. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to kind of keep moving around, giving you something to play with and work off of and struggle with, maybe. I don't know. So, good. Here we are. Yeah, 15 minutes really is a long time, isn't it? It is. Talk about anything. Did you? You ordered it or you received it? Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't picked it up for a while. So it's been long enough that I've probably forgotten the first several chapters, so I won't mind getting back into it. You reading any other books? Yeah, when's school start? So if we can get through this book before 4 weeks is up, then smooth sailing from there. What you laughing about? What are you laughing about? So, Peter, are you reading any books? Are you reading any books? What you reading in the Bible right now? Oh, come on. You're not in one particular place? Dude, you got to get into the story. If you're everywhere, you're never quite in the story. Well, a chapter stops the story smack dab in the middle. Sometimes you're only halfway through a story when you're in the chapter. I used to have a Bible that it actually didn't even include chapters because it didn't want you to stop in the middle of the story. And the chapters were added later. You know, Paul never said, here, stop here in the middle of this letter. It's a letter. You're not going to stop in the middle. You're going to read all the way through because it makes sense. What you see in the beginning shows up later in the middle and in the end, and it circles back, and so you have a greater context and understanding. But because people put in chapter 1, chapter 2, people stop and they forget it, and it doesn't quite, they're not reading it the way it was meant to be read, at least with the letter. I don't know how the Gospels were intended to be read. You know, Luke and Acts are one book. One, at least, you know, one fluid story, same author. That was probably not meant to be read in one sitting. But, read what? Revelation. You read Elevation, church? That's not a Bible. So, yeah, anyway, I like that Bible, the one that didn't have chapters. It had at the very bottom, it gave you the group of verses so that if you wanted to try to pinpoint something, it was a little easier to find, but it didn't have verses throughout. It didn't have chapters. It was kind of cool. No, it was called, I don't know what it was called. I love that thing. Yeah, we have one of those kids' storybook Bible. With the one that it says like every story whispers his name. Yeah, that thing is awesome. I love that thing. We're reading that with the boys. But I think it's enlightening even for adults because it tells you, okay, how does this random, obscure story, what does that have to do with anything? How does that fit into the greater context of the Bible? And then it's like, wait, Abraham and Isaac, that's like God and Jesus. Oh! No, I mean that one's a little more obvious, but yeah. Oh, okay. Isn't that one of their albums? Um, so I'm reading Proverbs right now. Actually, I'm learning more about the Proverbs than I've ever learned. I'm reading through a commentary, and first thing he breaks down the book and says, okay, I think it's like the first 7 chapters are just about, they're not the Proverbs. They're like an introduction to the Proverbs. It's like, if you embrace wisdom, this is what's going to happen to you. It's like trying to prepare your heart for what the rest of the book is. And then the next section of the Proverbs are Proverbs specifically written by Solomon. And then it breaks it up and it does some Proverbs written by other kings. And then it has some Proverbs written by some really specific people, just not a whole lot there. I don't even know if it's more than a chapter. And then it goes back to more Proverbs by Solomon. And yeah, anyway. But I love the perspective of the author because he's writing with Jesus in mind. It's amazing how Jesus informs the Proverbs because, and even in the introduction in this commentary that I'm reading, he says that Jesus specifically talks about Solomon. And he says, Solomon was famous for his wisdom, and the queen of Sheba, she traveled, quite the distance to sit in the presence of Solomon, to hear his wisdom. And Jesus says, someone even greater is among you. Like if you thought his wisdom was worth traveling the world to hear, someone greater, wisdom itself is before you. And so anyway, by walking through the Proverbs, but walking through it, recognizing how does this point to Jesus? What does Jesus say about this? How does this fit into the gospel? It makes it so much better and more beautiful and real. And it's like, okay, that has a gravity to that. That has a weight now that previously, there's some wise words, but it didn't feel weighty. It wasn't like life and death. And that's exactly what wisdom is. It's the difference between life and death. 4 minutes and 28 seconds left before I'm supposed to call Annie. How long has this recording been so far? 9 minutes? Okay. Are you still switching back between the two? Excellent. How you feeling, TJ? Yeah, you're not too tired yet? It helps when I stay in one spot. And the shot you had earlier was a little closer than I think Yashua's been doing it. I don't mind it. It was a clean shot. But if you're further back, it's going to be a little bit easier on you. Oh, it's not going to look bad. Can you see the difference when it's zoomed in as close as you had it, and if you go back to like maybe knee length and up? Go to the wide angle, Peter, so that it's not clunky, and then he can adjust it without having to be careful. Yeah, I guess I should probably stay in one spot so you can kind of get the shot you're looking for. Where's the dark spot, Peter? Where are the dark spots on stage? Probably, is it here? It's here, isn't it? Yeah, I can feel it. And by the way, we've ordered some barn doors, the things that cap the lights, so you can kind of get more of a line, try to prevent the wash on the stage. Those, when we first ordered the lights, they were not available. They're supposed to be coming in within the next 2 weeks. So I will be checking in if they are not here within the next 2 weeks. But when we get those, that should really, well, Joshua is critical. He doesn't think it's going to help much, but I hope so. I think it will, because right now these lights are zoomed in order to prevent splashing on the back. If we can zoom out, we can at least hit more of the front here. We'll see. The stage is difficult to work with, but it's what we got. Thank you, Lord. Oh, yeah. Could you tell the difference in lighting? Yeah. Yeah, Simon can decide that for himself, what he wants to do. If he wants a workout, he'll get really close. If he wants to relax a little bit, he'll zoom out a bit. Yeah. I didn't listen to the podcast, but I heard it on the stream. Yeah, Pastor Chris pointed that out. He said, you can hear the room. The room is alive, and that makes you feel like you're in the room. It makes you feel like you're a part of it. So, yeah, it was good. Really good. I said 15. If it's 15, we multiply it by 4. If it's 10, we have to multiply it by 6, and we're not quite as accurate. So 15 is better. 20 is better. Half an hour is better. The entire hour, that's the best, but I think we're going to get a good taste. Fortunately, we've seen your computer record for 2 hours almost. Wednesday, how long was Wednesday's recording? Yeah, I mean, obviously that was with the wrong settings. And then you recorded 40 minutes yesterday, so we know your computer is taking it. And that was at a higher, it was processing more last night, which is why you had the larger video size. So I'm glad your computer is working again. I'm also going to be glad to get your computer freed. I'm sure you're glad about that too. That's my alarm, but that's not your alarm. How much time do you have left? 2 minutes. Call Annie Knuckles.
Calling Annie Knocklers.
What are you watching, Peter? Oh. I didn't ask you, TJ. What are you reading? I'm calling. I don't know if she's answering. Not yet. We already recorded the USB. Oh. Do you have an extra output? Uh-huh. You could still send the same USB to the computer that you're doing right now? That's not a bad idea. It'd probably be even cleaner. Well, which channel is it coming out of? Is it going to be the same? Do you want the house? Is 9 and 10 cleaner than the house? I know that's what's going to the live stream. I'm not just doing this to mess with you, TJ, but a little bit. Mostly,